Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm very happy to be here with you. To be honest, I'm a bit stressed, but I'm hoping that it will be better in a few moments. So today, I'd like to share with you a journey through the wonderful world of cryptocurrencies and hardware security. My name is Yacine Badiss, and I am a software architect at Ledger. I've been working there for a few years, and my goal here is to share with you my experience at Ledger. So my experience working on software and hardware that is used to secure cryptocurrencies. Okay, because that's what we do at Ledger. And I believe that is something that is worth sharing because it's a pretty unique field that is very complex and has a lot of ins and outs. And obviously it's all over the news all the times, but not everybody knows what it really has inside of it, right? So kind of want to give you a, show you how it is from the inside for people actually working on it day to day. So don't worry about Danny on the side. He doesn't bite. He's very nice, though. So before we get started, I just wanted to ask a couple questions. I know we raised our hands a lot earlier, but can you raise your hand if you've ever owned any crypto or has any crypto? OK, so that's what I expected, quite a few. And maybe a tougher question, have you lost any crypto in the past? Have you had, oh, sorry for your loss. So yeah, it happens. So crypto has to be secured. It's not easy to secure. And that's what we do at Ledger. We try to make sure that you won't lose your crypto and that you'll be safe whenever you're using it. So I'm not going to be telling you about how awesome Ledger is, how the people are amazing, etc. You'll figure it out by yourself. I'll be focusing rather on really what we do inside. And so to do this, I'll take one single example, a very specific one, about a feature and a product on which I've been working, which is basically sending money on a B2B platform, so for clients that have lots of funds in crypto. But to be able to cover that and to go deep into that and figure it out, to realize what kind of impact does crypto and security have on your dev life when you're working on a feature, we'll start by talking about cryptocurrencies themselves, about blockchain, and then about security. So just giving you a quick introduction about that. So I'm not sure how this one works. Is it? It's fine. I'll use this. OK, so what are cryptocurrencies? Well, basically, they are electronic currencies that are backed by cryptography and by distributed blockchains. OK, and they allow people to exchange funds, and they bring trust between untrusted parties. So that's kind of the big general definition. But I've said the word blockchain in there, and you may not know what it is. So in a few words, a blockchain is a chain of blocks. So not super useful, but still, it's a start. And so this chain of blocks has a lot of data in it. So each block has information and a hash, okay? And in the case of cryptocurrencies, the data that we have in it is actually transactions. So people send in funds to each other, okay? It's like account A sending 1,000 Yoshi coins to account B. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to tell you, but we're not going to talk about actual currencies here. I'll be talking only about Yoshi coin, which is my invention, just to be safe. I don't give crypto advice. So, yes, the data inside of those blocks is transactions, people sending money to each other. OK, great. What does it look like, really? Well, in the blocks, looks like maybe something like this, just a hex blob. It's very hard to read for humans. It just had some, it has some information encoded in it. Where does it come from? Where does it go to? How much you're paying for it? The usual things. So that's about the data. You have a bunch of those transactions. And then you have second thing, which is the hash. And that hash is very important because it's a hash of the previous block, of the block that came just before. And the block before has a hash itself of the previous one, etc. So this is recursive. And what it really means is that every single block has a hash that encodes the identity, really, of all the blocks that came before. Okay? So if you change a single block in there, in the history, then all the other ones will change because the hashes will change. So that's super nice because if you're in a distributed world where a lot of people are looking at the data at the blockchain because they can read it freely, well, you cannot change anything in the past because if you change an old block, then all of a sudden all the other ones change. So that's great when you're exchanging money because that means that nobody can come back and say, actually, I paid you 1,000 Yoshi coin yesterday, but today I don't feel like it, and I'll take it back. So it's a great feature of the blockchain and its immutability as soon as you're in a distributed open world. And that's what we have with cryptocurrencies. So writing the blocks is not something I'll cover here, but just know that it's an append only, so you just add blocks at the end all the time, and you have things like miners, like nodes, and consensus protocols, a bunch of things that are involved, but I'll not cover it. But if you have questions about this, the Ledger team is around. Just feel free to ask somebody with a t-shirt. So, cryptocurrency, blockchain, very quick understanding of it. Now, onto securing it. So, where does the security come into? So, cryptocurrencies have their own quirks. Every cryptocurrency does things differently. Maybe a Mayoshi coin has a way of handling funds. Others, Mario coin, will be behaving differently. Okay? But one thing that they have in common is that they have keys, which is actually they expect you to have a private key and a public key, a pair of them, to be able to interact with the blockchain. Okay? We'll see how we interact with them and how they're generated. So first, how do we create those keys? Well, the easiest way that we have in general in the crypto world is just to use 24 random words that are human readable, and by passing them through an algorithm, basically you end up at the end with a private key and a public key pair. Okay? And so you can say that the 24 words that you see, for example, here on screen, are exactly equivalent to your key. Okay? We also call this a seed. So once you have your keys, you're happy. What can you do with it? Well, those two keys are what allow you to actually interact with the blockchain, to handle your account and to send funds. So first, handle your account. Well, as soon as you have your keys, you can generate a unique identifier for your account. Okay? And that unique identifier that you're generating from the keys is just like your IBAN. Okay? It's what you give to people so that they can send you funds. All right? So first things first, you can receive things. Awesome. But now, if you want to pay somebody, how do you do it? So the blockchain will have your funds on it. Okay, great. And you own it. You're happy. But how do you prove it? That's where the private key comes in. So if you want to send any fund, you create a transaction where you say, I want to send 100 Yoshi coin to someone in the audience. And to prove that it's mine and I'm allowed to spend it, I digitally sign that with a private key. So I end up with the data, the transaction, and the signature, and I send both of them to the blockchain, and the blockchain can actually verify the signature is correct, and it can say, fine, you own those funds, you can send them to whoever you want. And during the whole process, I haven't shared my private key. Okay? So that's the goal of digitally signing. It's proving ownership, proving that you own the private key without sharing it. And that's super essential, because like the name says, it's private. Don't share it with anyone. Okay? So if we recap this, you've got some words that generate a key, a private key, and that private key allows you to access your funds and move them around. Awesome, by signing them. Now, as I said, you shouldn't be sharing it. But why? What can happen if you share that private key or your seed with somebody? Well, here's an example of something that happened a few weeks ago. It's just an exchange, HitBTC. It's not big, it's not small. It has like a few $1 billion of volume every day. And unfortunately, they did something pretty bad. You can't see it here, but on the blockchain, they shared openly 24 words. You can just see a few of them here. And that's 24 words of one account that they own. So there was $1 million on it, and they lost it because somebody saw that seed and was like, great, I'll initialize a new wallet, I'll move all the funds somewhere, and that's it. It's over. So ownership of the seed, of the private key, means ownership of the funds. It has nothing to do with who you are, it's what you own. Okay? Here, I'm not trying to hit on HitBTC. Okay, they're great people, I'm sure. But the point is that even companies that have to protect their funds and are paid for it can make mistake. Everybody can make mistake, and it's kind of hard to always secure your funds when you're handling them online. What other ways can you lose your funds? So as an individual, it's a bit different, right? Okay, fine, now you know that you shouldn't be sharing your seed with anyone, that's great. But what else can happen? Well, if you want to send your funds, you have to use a laptop because you have to connect to the internet, which connects to the blockchain, okay? And we all know, or I hope you know, that your laptop is not safe, okay? If you've grown up in the 90s, you've had viruses on your computer at some point, and you know that malware can be on it. And if there can be malware, then if you are keeping your seed on your computer, because you want to use it to sign transactions, well, maybe it can be leaked. Maybe you keep it on iCloud and iCloud gets hacked. Maybe the malware just scans all your files and when it finds 24 words that seem relevant, sends it to the hacker, right? Anything can happen. So shouldn't trust it at all. That's one thing. But a second thing that can happen is that when you're building your transactions, these are two examples, maybe when you're trying to build it and then sign it, before you sign it, maybe the malware changes it, okay? So for example here, not easy to see at first sight, but they are different. And that difference can mean that you're not sending to the right address. Maybe you're sending to your brother instead of your sister or somebody else, I don't know. And you could also be sending the wrong amount. So clearly, I cannot hold my key on my computer. I cannot create transaction and sign them on my computer. None of this is possible if I want to be safe. So what is the solution? There are many, but at Ledger, our solution is secure elements, okay? So secure elements are chips, microchips that have been used for a long time. So for example, in your credit card in your pocket. And the goal of those secure elements is to hold on to a secret, any secret. And they cannot be compelled to share it with anyone, okay? So once you put your private key in there, for example, nobody can read it. Okay, it's pretty neat. So already no hacker can hack into it. Great. But now at Ledger, what we've done is we've created devices like this one that has a secure element. You put your private key in it, it's protected. And then whenever you want to create a new transaction, whenever you want to digitally sign it, you actually send that hex blob that we saw earlier to that device, and it's able to securely read it, so parse it, and then securely show it on the screen. And you can actually see what's happening in there. So instead of seeing just hexes, you'll see actual amounts and addresses and details. And so all of a sudden, we basically got rid of the two issues that I covered earlier, which is your seed is protected, nobody can read it, and whenever you're sending funds and signing them, you know exactly what you're signing, so you cannot make a mistake as long as you read your screen. So that's pretty nice. That's already what we provide. And it's basically called what you see is what you sign, okay? It's like we want you to make sure that whatever is on the screen is actually what is going to be sent, okay? Just a couple things. Your crypto, so your Yoshi coins, are never on the device, okay? There's only a private key. Your Yoshi coins are always on the blockchain. That's one thing to know. So you use your device, doesn't matter, you haven't lost your funds. And the second thing is you're the sole owner of your device. You don't need to ask anybody to actually move your funds. It's not like in banking. Where you have to ask your banker to actually move funds and maybe say, you've sent enough already, or you spent enough. This is all you, and you decide what you do. It's a core concept that is called self-custody, and we abide it all the time. Okay, so at this point, I'd like to just do a quick recap, because we've covered a few things. And before we jump into the example that I talked about, I'd like to just make sure that we are on the same page. So this is the simplest schema that you can have. You've got your device on one side with the key, protecting it. Then you connect it into your laptop. You're making them talk together. They create a transaction. They sign it. Everybody is happy. And then your laptop sends it over the internet to the blockchain. And voila, you've sent funds to somebody. Awesome. Now, let's dive into an actual example of a feature at Ledger, because that's what matters. So how, as a dev, am I working with this? What does it mean for me, and how do I interact with all of this? Okay. So here, the product that I want to talk about, just for context, it's a product for big companies, big crypto banks. They have billions of dollars that they're trying to secure. And one thing that they're looking for is a way to say, I am a lowly employee that has barely any rights, but I have a manager that is all-knowing and he can approve my transactions. So I can say, I want to send 1,000 Yoshi coin, but it won't be moved until my manager has approved it, okay, or until the CFO has approved it. Awesome. So this is what we see here. It's like creating transaction, then approving them, and then actually sending them, broadcasting them to the blockchain. And this is what we offer. The whole thing is secure with things that we call HSM, hardware security modules. They're just secure servers. And that's the product, okay? And so the feature that I was working on was just sending the funds, okay? Just create a transaction, it gets sent. Everything was fine until one of our clients said, you know what, I'd like you to remove one of the constraints that you have, which is that you can only create a single transaction at a time on a given account. So they had one account, and they could only create one transaction, fully approve it, which could take days, and then create the second one, which is kind of limiting when you have billions of funds, right? You want to be able to move them quickly. And obviously, this is kind of weird restriction that you don't want to have in place, and I'll explain why we had that. So to understand why, we have to dig into how transactions actually look like. So here is a basic Yoshi-coin transaction. You have the source account, where it comes from, destination account, where it goes to, the amount, how much is being moved, the fees, which I haven't really talked about, but it's basically what you pay the blockchain to actually process your transaction. Okay, so how much you pay. If you want your transaction to be super fast, you pay more because people would have a bigger incentive to actually process it. And the last one in red is what we care about here, is the nonce. So the nonce is not really interesting for the client, but for us it is, because awesome, it's hidden. Never mind. It's very important for us because you have to have the right nonces to send them to the blockchain. Basically, the nonce is the number of transactions that have left your account. Okay, so first transaction we have nonce 1, second transaction nonce 2, etc. And that order has to be respected. If you haven't sent transaction with nonce 2, you can't send nonce 3. Okay, it has to be exact. So maybe you can see where I'm going with this, but I'll detail it a bit. So let's say we have, oh great, I moved them. Okay, if we have multiple transactions that our client has been creating, they haven't approved them yet, they're all in flight waiting to be approved, they have a nonce each, okay? They have to be sent out in that order, right? Because it's nonce 1, 2, and 3. They have a clear order. But what happens if the CFO says, Yacine, you're not allowed to send 1,000 Yoshi-coin? Screw that. Well, what happens is that the other 2 transactions are now basically effed. You can't choose them anymore, right? You have to change them. You have to change the nonce, move it from 2 to 1 and 3 to 2. Great. So solution is easy. As soon as we can lift that restriction, as long as we can modify the transactions right before we send them, just to make sure that they have the right nonce in there. But that's when security kicks in. I haven't talked about security in a while, and that's where it kicks in. The issue here is that when a client is creating a transaction, initiating a transaction, and putting all this data in it, we're saying this is your intent, and we're never going to touch it. And we protect this cryptographically. Nobody can change it at leisure anywhere. And this is the only thing that can be approved and signed and broadcasted, okay? And the nonce is in there, okay? So if a transaction has the wrong nonce, we can't send it. No matter the effort, we won't be able to modify it and send it. So the client will have to recreate it. And if they have 1,000 transactions waiting, then they have to recreate 1,000 transactions. That's horrible. Nobody wants to ask their clients to do that. So how can we solve this? Well, in retrospect, the solution is pretty easy. It looks simple, but the idea is to remove the nonce from that transaction, from that description, and to say, well, instead of securing that nonce, we're just going to secure the source, the destination, the amount, the fees, what the client cares about, and remove the nonce from it. And as soon as you remove the nonce, well, you can just add it at the end by yourself, because really the client doesn't care. It's a technical detail that they can just bypass entirely, okay? So this way, they can create as many transactions as they want in parallel, approve them in their own time, over a week or whatever, and then once the transaction is approved, we handle the nonce. We add it back, and everything is solved. So this is how we solve that issue for our clients. And if we look back, basically, we have hidden a feature of the blockchain, or rather a limitation of that specific cryptocurrency, which is that you can't really have parallel transaction. And you still don't, even in this version. We create the impression, the illusion of parallel transactions, but it gives a much better UX for our clients. They're much happier. They can do what they want. It looks like a banking system. It's awesome. Okay. So I guess it's done. We're finished with this, or rather, I hoped we would be finished with this. The issue being that things happen, and on the blockchain, it's always moving, okay? And sometimes there are things like bull runs, okay? What a bull run is when the markets are going crazy and the value of your coin is going way up. And when the value of your coin is going way up, everybody wants to trade it. Everybody's moving those funds. They're just trying to buy and sell transactions of Yoshi coins. Okay. And what does it matter? Well, the issue with that is that if there are too many transactions in flight, then you're competing with other people to get your transaction approved quickly, okay? And the blockchain is limited in terms of number of transactions that it can handle. So to make sure that your transaction goes in first, you're going to increase the fees. You're going to say, you know what, don't handle that guy. I'll pay 100 Yoshi coin in fees and you'll just handle my transaction, okay? The next guy comes in and say, I'll pay 101, and the fees keep going up. And this is actually happening right now because crypto is crashing right now as we speak. And people are paying a lot of money to get out of the crypto. So it can happen when it's going up or going down. And we see the fees just skyrocketing and being completely crazy. What does it have to do with us? Well, pretty much the same thing as before, really. The issue is that the fees, the exact fees are part of our model, okay? So we cannot really change them at the last time. So if when you create your transaction, normal fees were about 2 Yoshi coins, and by the time you actually send the transaction, the blockchain expects 100, then it's never going to work, right? And just like last time, we can't change the fees at the last moment. So, again, what do we do? It's, again, the same question of how do we make sure that the UX and that the interaction of our client with the blockchain is as seamless as possible, and it's as secure as possible at the same time, okay? We don't want them to know about all this complexity, and at the same time, we want to protect their funds. So in this case, what we did was actually take the fees out and say, instead of securing exactly the fees, so 2 Yoshi coins, we're actually securing a max number of fees. We're saying, how many fees do you want to pay? How many Yoshi coins do you want to pay at most? The reason we're forced to do this is because unlike the nonce, our client does care about it, okay? It cares about it very much because even if you cannot change the amount, if I can set your fees to be 1 million, I'm emptying your account, okay? I can just tell you I haven't gained anything from it, but I've been an asshole and I've moved $1 million from your account, okay? So we have to protect the fees, but we don't want to be exact. So we're giving ourselves a little leeway by setting some max fees, okay? And saying that at most you can pay 10 Yoshi coin in fees. And by the time we actually go to the blockchain with a transaction that is approved, that is signed, we can say, well, just ask the blockchain quickly, how much are the fees right now? Is it 100? Is it 10? And we're just going to set the fees to be that amount, to be as close to possible as to the current medium amount of fees, while staying below the max that you've set as a client. So once again, clients are happy because they just create anything they want. They give us some information, give us some leeway. We don't break any transaction because you've approved them in 1 day or in 10 days. Basically, you're abstracted. You don't see all the crazy things that are happening on the blockchain. You don't care that the market is moving. And we're just protecting you as much as we can from all of this. And the thing is, right now, this is the end of my story about this specific topic, but it happens all the time. Like, crypto is ever moving, all right? It's every single cryptocurrency has its own way of behaving. Right now, I was talking about Yoshi coin, but obviously, if we talk about Ether, Bitcoin, all of them have their own way of behaving, handling things, and their own very little quirks, okay? And all of that, I don't know about it. I'm not an expert in crypto. I couldn't call myself that because every Monday morning when I get into work, I feel like I'm lost and I'm old, okay? Because everything has changed, everybody has new project, new topics, and it's very hard to follow. It's even harder as when your title has architect in it because everybody expects you to know, but you don't, and you have to Google search quickly what they're talking about. And this incredible pace is actually pretty impressive when we're looking at the different projects that are sparking interest in the crypto world all the time. So for example, here, this is a chart of the market cap of DeFi. DeFi is decentralized finance. It's just a big trend in crypto where we're saying cryptocurrencies are doing away with everybody who's in between, in the middle, and DeFi is just trying to push that even further. So you need to know about it right now. But a year ago, it was barely a blimp on the radar, and now it's hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap, and it keeps going up. And that's really the same thing for every other project that we see popping. One day you don't know about it, the next NFTs are just taking over the world, and there's so much money in it that you don't have a choice. You have to integrate it because your clients are asking for it, and you need it absolutely. Okay? And I guess that's what I want you guys to remember. It's that in crypto, everything is moving fast. Everything is very constrained. There are a lot of technical details that you have to care about. And when you add crypto security, on top of it, well, all of a sudden you're very extremely constrained from all sides, and you're just trying to make things as well as possible for your clients. So crypto on one side, security, and then UX on the third. And the issue is that when you take this triptych, you quickly realize that they're badly impacting each other. So trying to make a real good UX with all the constraints of crypto and security behind it, that's almost impossible. You're just banging yourself against the wall all the time. And I mean, at the end of the day, banging our head against the wall is what you do at Ledger every day. Be it on the dev side, on the hardware, we're just like trying to squeeze all of it into one single object so that we can give this to our client and make them happy and make them use everything securely. So that when you're handling your crypto, you don't lose it. So that when you're interacting with the blockchain, you don't get your funds stolen over and over again. So you can't always get what you want. You can't get the best UX you wish for when you're working in crypto, but the goal is really to combine them all and make the best of it. So that's, if you remember one thing from this talk, I hope that this is the one. But before we move into questions, I'll use a few minutes to actually ask you a few questions. So if you have your phone, laptop, something on you, you can just scan the QR code. Should work anyway, even if something is hidden. Basically, if you listen well, you can win a device. We'll see how it goes. So just scan this. I'll do it as well. Put it on screen. Let's see. If you can't scan it, you can always go to join my quiz and type in the code. Sorry, I'll move. Let's see. So I'll do it at the same time as you, just make sure I'm not... does it? Okay, it doesn't actually work. So I guess go to join my quiz. So joinmyquiz.com. Okay, you can choose a name in there. Once you've entered the code 439490. Okay, let's see. See how many of you... you don't have it yet? Okay, yeah. Up. There you go. If you want to scan it. I'll give you a few more seconds. Or minutes, I don't know. No, just a minute. Should be 20 players, 26, 27, okay. So we have a few people. 439490. Seems like we're 30. Okay. I don't know how many we are, to be honest. I'll wait another second or two, catch my breath, drink some water. 40, and we're now moving. Okay, great. Oh, we are. God, okay. Anybody is still logging in? No? Okay. Damn it. So, let's go to the lesson. All right. 45, great. Okay, let's get started. So, you'll see the questions on screen, and you have 10 seconds to answer. So the first one is, or actually on your screen, what should you never share with anyone? Is it your seed, your 24 words, your private key, or all of the above? All right. Anybody? Everybody has answered? All right. 14 people got it, and so that the majority didn't. Okay, so be careful. Never share anything with anyone on the internet. You haven't learned that when you were a kid? All right, so next question. What do we have here? What does SE stand for? Is it safe element, secure environment, solid enclave, or secure element? Let's see, a few people answering. Time's up. Sorry for the latecomers. All right. Vitalik. Oh, Fred. Okay, people moving up. It's a tight race. And most people got it. Great. All right, next question. So, now, are these two transactions that you're seeing on screen, are they the same or are they different? Those who are just looking on the screen obviously can't read them. I'm sorry. Should have brought up your phone, but... Okay, and time's up. Were they the same or different? Well, they were the same. And only 3 or 4 people got it seems. Okay. Oh no, okay. Still, less than half. Oh, sorry. I didn't want to do that. No, I'm not giving you. Okay, never mind, that's fine. You get extra points. I hope everybody says the same now. Just click restart instead of moving to the next one. All right, next one. Now, sorry, more transactions. What about these two? They're different. Is it different? Is it the same? Can you read it quickly? Let's see. Who gets it? You're not trying? All right. Most people are answering. And they were the same again. Okay, you got my trick. Good. Anyway, the point is that it's hard to read on screen. You should have a device that is actually telling you what is inside before you approve anything. And now, where are your Yoshi coins stored? Is it on an exchange, on the blockchain, on your computer, or in a secure element? Where is it stored? And the answer is on the blockchain. It's nowhere else, just on the blockchain. So you can lose your device. It doesn't matter as long as you don't give your seed to anyone. Next one, which of these acronyms is a ledger motto? Is it WYSIWYZ, WYSIWYG, WYGIWYZ, or WYSIMOLWYG? They're all real acronyms. I looked them up on Wikipedia. And the answer is WYSIWYZ, which is what you see is what you sign. The other ones were what you see is what you get, what you see is mostly what you get, and some other thing that I don't remember. And I think this is the last question, very important one. How many Yoshis were in the presentation? Is it 52, 37, 42, or 47? I don't know. There were a lot, right? This is the one that is going to make or break the winner. Leaderboard. This is the final leaderboard. Ooh, Stan, you were so close. It's very sad. And there were, I don't remember actually. I think there were 37 or something. 37? There you go. You counted, did you? Okay. All right, so I think that we are done with the quiz. And so the winner, or winners actually, because we have a bit more devices than I expected, the 5 first people will get a device. So who's Fred, Stan, Pierre? Can you raise your hand? Okay, 1, 2, 3. And the last 2, who are they? So Fred, Stan, Pierre, Thomas, and Wilfried. You can just go to anybody who has a Ledger t-shirt after the talk, and we'll give you a Nano X. All right, yeah, to this guy here. And actually, we'll look at the last people. I want to know who is last, and actually has some points. Let's take a look. So, okay, unknown. So Alex, Draco. Is it you? No, you don't get anything. So Alex, Pee-wee, Luz, that's Moreau. We don't want him. Sébastien and Julien. Because you were so bad, I think you deserve a device to protect your crypto. So, so you'll get devices as well. So if you see your name here, so Alex, Pee-wee, Luz, Sébastien, and Julien, same thing. Come to us and we'll give you a device. And I think that's it for me. So let's go back to the talk. And I think we can move on to questions.
Yes, thank you, Yacine. That was very insightful for cryptocurrency.